Make it so, number one.
Spiky Bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Rob Baer from SpikyBits.com, and we got something special today for you. Modiphius sent us over a whole bunch of their Star Trek Adventures miniatures. Not so much on the RPG side of things. They wanted me to take a look at that, but I'm like, I don't really RPG, guys. I don't have that much time. Although we did just do an episode of D&D Rick and Morty over on the Long War, which was pretty fun, and of course I died. Regardless, I think miniatures at the end of the day are just miniatures, and a lot of us want to paint them up, nostalgia-wise and everything. Like, of course, I watched Next Generation back in the day. Late 80s, early 90s, and DS9 and all that. And it was just really cool to see miniatures, in the appropriate scale that we're kind of used to on the wargaming side of things. And what I really liked about this, digging into the material, was that there's actually a miniatures combat system for just the miniatures. Like, if you don't want to do the RPG kind of side of things, there's still like a D20 kind of system that you can actually interact these models together, which is kind of cool. It probably doesn't scale up. I just kind of skimmed over the rules, and the rules are a free download that I'm going to show you here in a second over on Modiphius' website as well. But it's, if you're in the Next Generation, or if you watch Picard or watch Discovery, it's kind of the same-ish. Very loose-ish. You might really enjoy these miniatures just for something different, a little palette cleanser, just to kind of, paint up and just put on a shelf or in a display case. So here's Modiphius' website, and you can see they still have a notice up about, the current worldwide crisis. They are open back up and shipping, so that's good. But it'll take restocks a little while to get in. They do seem to get in restocks pretty frequently. I'm always bouncing over here checking things out when they do new releases, and we kind of cover it here on the site. The big thing they got going on right now is the Elder Scrolls miniatures, which look great, and they're painted by Castlebrush, and we featured Castlebrush here in the past. Their most recent release for Star Trek Adventures was the Delta Quadrant sourcebook, so all sorts of craziness going on in the Delta Quadrant. So a lot of room to kind of grow that out and make a really interesting campaign on that side of things, because we really only saw a lot from the Delta Quadrant, as far as like the television series and the CBS content from, I guess, or Paramount rather, I guess, kind of from maybe Voyager, so to speak. But either way, pretty cool stuff nonetheless. Now you can go up here and you can kind of bounce around using these tabs to try to find what you're looking for. I think it's in RPG. Yep, there's Star Trek Adventures. I've already loaded the page, so we're just gonna bop into that, and here it is. All of the Star Trek Adventures RPG content. So like I said, we're not going to cover the RPG stuff. There's all sorts of modules, and they have online modules which you can download, and you can they're actually two different versions. You can have them printed out, so they're a little bit crisper, or you can just use them on your e-reader and such, which is kind of cool to see too. What is it? So there's like 48 different items here, like at least. But we're just going to look at kind of the miniatures and the accessories too, which I have open in another tab. So boop, we're just booping all the snoots here. So here's the Star Trek Adventures tabletop RPG miniatures and accessories for the miniature side of things. And there's a lot of different box sets. A lot of it looks to be kind of sold out right now. They have some of the adventure stuff in stock, and then they have some of the figures that you can actually pick up separately if hey, I don't want to buy this $50 box set of figures because I'm only playing this character right here. Well, they got you covered, for $8 US. You can pick up some of the away team. I don't know if you can pick up the Next Generation Bridge Crew or the original Bridge Crew. I think you have to buy that box set for them. Currently, they got Klingons. They got the away teams from both the original series, Next Gen. Just kind of generic red shirt type deals right there. They've got Romulans, which I actually don't have any of here. I think they might have been out of them when they went to send them to me. We got Klingons. Don't have any of the original series kind of stuff. Unfortunately, didn't watch a whole lot of that, so I really couldn't talk too much about it. But, I've seen a few episodes. I think most of us have right there. So, for the most part, these boxes are $49.77 in US dollars. Like I said, if you're just trying to pick up one character here, they're about $8. Now, shipping wise and conversion wise, they do have a tab that you can toggle between Canadian euro, Australian dollars, and Great Britain pounds. For Great Britain pounds, it doesn't actually go up that much, believe it or not. So they're not like trying to make a bunch of money off arbitrage or anything like that. It's £39.99 pounds or $49.99, which, you know, before the crisis, that was about the exchange rate-ish. That's a good approximation. You know, they're not trying to make any extra money off us as war gamers and stuff. Shipping wise, if we bop over here, I had a shopping cart open. They don't give you the pricing in US dollars. At least I didn't complete the transaction, so I can't say for sure. But their shipping options were actually not too bad. And let me bop over to that. When you have the option so they got the normal tracked mail, I guess it's Royal Mail, $9 Great Britain pounds is probably $12 to $15 US. If I have the option, I would like to go with DHL or, if possible, FedEx, just because there's a lot more accountability there. DHL, while not so big here in America, is actually really big overseas, and FedEx actually handles a lot of the mail for the Postal Service, the U.S. Postal Service overseas too. So both of these are really great options that will get the stuff to the country very fast and also to your door very fast, because they do have trucks, DHL and both FedEx, that run the mail, you know, from overseas and packages to your door as well. So both of these are good options. I would probably kind of, if depending on how much you're buying, upgrade to one of those. And at 1809 Great Britain pounds is probably about $22 to $24 shipping. So, you know, make it worth your while, obviously, right there. Buying one box set and buying that, probably not worth it. Just a heads up. Here in the States, you can get the stuff from Miniature Market. They don't have as big of a selection, but, you know, they're a great resource to pick up the stuff. They ship out of the central US, so generally they're only a couple days away from most of us. So that's the website. That's where you can find the stuff. Let's jump into some of the miniatures themselves. And here's the standard size unit box. This is if you do GW miniatures, the Warhammer hobby, you're probably used to this approximate size box. They might have, you know, Modiphius might have done it on purpose. This kind of seems to be, you know, the industry standard for miniature size boxes right there. So this is the Bridge crew from Next Generation, as you might actually notice a lot of these. And they put in Tashiar along with Lieutenant Worf too. So that's pretty cool to see. So here's a little explanation on it all, and, you know, check out the website, things like that, everything that comes in there. Now the box set is actually pretty sturdy, and normally it comes shrink wrap, but I already opened it up to kind of show you. It's going to come with two little baggies of the miniatures on sprue, and then here's more of what the miniatures themselves look like on the sprues. Now zooming in, you can see that you know, they're very well detailed, and they each come with a base. Now I think these are maybe Jordy has a base too that's a little bit more detailed, but the majority of them are just this kind of diamond plate grid work right here. So you're going to get, for most of them, they just have either one arm or two arms to attach, or like a two-handed kind of weapon type deal, as Worf with his bat left here, and then 25mm base. Now you could put them on a different base. Pretty much that would work for everybody except for Riker right here, because he's doing his classic Riker pose where he's, you know, the stallion that mounts the world right there. But other than that, I think if you build up a custom base, you could probably put them on just about anything, to be quite honest. Now looking at the detail, let's zoom in right here. It's kind of hard to see just because of the way that the resin is a little lighter color right here. But you can definitely, once we get it up close to camera right there, you can see, you know, the communicator that cuts in the you know, Starfleet romper, the phaser he's holding, and then of course that's pre-bearded Riker, which is, I suppose you could do a little wash and get a beard on him if you really wanted to, but it's not, the details aren't sculpted in there. It doesn't look like he's clean shaven Riker. So this is a, you know, Series 1 Farpoint Riker, I guess, so to speak. And there's Worf, of course, too, and he looks great. You can definitely see all the facial details. He has sculpted facial hair because he's Worf, and, well, he never really changed, I suppose. I think he got a little bit bigger when he took over security detail, but what do I know? That's just probably movie magic somewhat. And then you can see on the back there, they're all wonderfully detailed. You can definitely tell the likenesses are spot on. I've seen some painted pictures, or, you know, people painted these up and posted them on the internet. I didn't want to share them on here because I didn't know any of those folks, but you know, if you have some painted pictures of these, definitely send them in to us so we can use them in content for promoting Modiphius too. But for the most part, I mean, all of the faces look great once they're painted up from all the Google searches and everything that I did. I think overall, you know, they did a great job sculpting all these folks. Now, we put all of them together, and I'm going to show you those here in a second. And we're going to take a look at a couple of miniatures out of the other boxes too, except for I don't have the Romulan set, unfortunately. But just imagine, imagine Tasha Yar is a Romulan. And boof, there it is. So taking a look at the assembled miniatures, here's Worf again, just amazing. The realistic appearance of these miniatures, and even the likenesses, the facial features, you know, the authentic garb and everything like that, aka the Starfleet onesies. There's Data, definitely looks like Data, carrying the heavy phaser. Was that Type 1, Type 2? I forget, I don't know. I'm not a Star Trekologist, although I'd like to be. I feel like I know more about Star Wars though. And here is Geordi scanning something with his visor right there, carrying some equipment and a tricorder. I used to always joke about those data pads, right? I was like, man, that'd be really cool if we had one of those in real life. And, you know, fast forward 30 years later, we got iPads. Pretty neat, huh? There's Picard himself, definitely younger, more dapper Jean-Luc Picard. As you know, this is probably based on more of the Series 1 or Series 2 of the show. But very amazing what they were able to do. And there's Tasha Yar getting ready to throw down some fisticuffs on, I don't know, somebody. Maybe she's sparring. Who knows? Really hard to say. A little bit of gap there. Probably got lazy on the glue work. Counselor Deanna Troi checking something out with her tricorder there. Definitely looks very much like her. She doesn't. Oh, does she have the onesie on? Yeah, she's got the onesie on as well. So she's super official right there. And ship's doctor, chief medical officer, looking fresh too, dashing to respond to something, I'm sure. Oh, this is got a texture base too. That's neat. And last but certainly not least, Commander Riker, looking super fresh. Oh, maybe he is bearded. I can't tell. I haven't seen a painted version of this. But now that I got it under the camera, it's way easier to see. And he's got his Starfleet romper on as well, so looking super fresh. All right, let me grab some of these other box sets and we'll take a closer look at some example miniatures out of those. Next up is just the generic away team box set, and here's an example miniature. I kind of like this. It's kind of like maybe Captain Janeway reimagined. Obviously it's not Janeway, it's just a generic Starfleet female officer right there, but it definitely, you know, maybe if Discovery was set very far, 20 years in the future now, that's what Janeway would look like, but who knows. This box comes with 10 miniatures. You get one female officer and one male officer of the Andorians, the Denabulan, Tellarite, and Vulcan species in this box. So it's kind of a cool little combo box, and you can check out more of the pics on the site. They have various equipment and different things that they're holding as well. And next up is the Klingon box. Apparently there's some cat hair caught in that one. not unexpected around here, to be quite honest. So here is a Klingon warrior, and this box is again 10 miniatures, 3 Klingon lieutenants, 6 Klingon warriors, for a total, and 1 Klingon captain. Oh, the captain's the dude with the pistol and raising his hand in the air. That makes sense. But, you know, like I said, very, very well done, and they got that authentic Klingon look to the next generation. Not quite. What we saw in Discovery was a little bit different. I was like, that's interesting. They have a variety of weapons, from the Batless to, looks like some phasers. Do they have phasers or disintegrators? I forget. Either way, they've got some shooty weapons, some sort of spear-looking thing that I'm not sure exactly what that is. And some of them are female as well. So it looks like you only get 2 females in this box set, unfortunately. So no named characters, but one of these looks like Lursa or B'Etor. I don't know exactly which one, but again, you can check out the pictures over on Modiphius' website. And almost last, but certainly not least, is the Borg expansion box. Now, this is also a 10 miniature box, I believe, and I think you get 5 females. Let me read this. 5 females, 5 male Borg drones. Now, some of the poses are repeated, but not too many of them. I think this one might be in there 3 times, but looking fresh. You know, these would make great alternatives to things, you know, if you wanted to port them over to like Warhammer 40k for like some Necrons or some AdMech or something like that. Just kind of splash them in and give people a look in. That might be kind of funsies right there. And speaking, there is one more box set, the Romulans, but I don't have them unfortunately. But you kind of get the idea. They're going to look fresh. They're going to look, period authentic and such. We should probably compare these to some, wargaming miniatures out there that you're more familiar with, perhaps, and just to show you what the scale is looking like. Okay, so scale-wise, well, you definitely probably know how big this is. Now, it is on a custom textured base right there, but to compare it to something like, let's grab the card, 25mm humanoid Captain Picard, well, there you get a pretty good idea. It's definitely on point for scale. If you compare it to something like Deathcore Kriegsman, definitely on point. If he was standing up, he would be about that same size-ish. So probably the plastic guardsmen from Warhammer are going to be a little bit bigger because they seem to be all sorts of out of whack as far as scale goes. The Cadians are different from the Catachans, and the Commands are different from them, and the Scions are like on point with some of the I don't know. I can't keep track sometimes of the guardsmen, but for the most part, you fill out your army all with the same stuff, and it's okay. But that would give you kind of an idea. So maybe you could splash this guy in. Or any of the bridge crew just for funsies, some little counts as officers or something like that. I don't know. It'd be pretty funny to put Picard in your fleet, as a master of ordnance or officer of the fleet or something like that in your guard army. That'd be pretty neat to see. And one other thing I wanted to show you was the downloadable sort of rule set for playing these miniatures, Star Trek miniature combat as well. It's a 25-page rule set. It's a free download. This isn't as crisp on your screen right there. There is 2 versions in the download, which is free. You can just check out for it over on Modiphius' website. And there's one for print and one for digital. So on digital, if you're holding your screen up, this would look fine. It's on PDF, and I can read it on my screen, but it's not going to come through on the video quite as crisp as I think. You can see that they've got a lot of areas down here, like rules of play, starting a game, the battlefield, weapons and equipment, missions, and then there's actually some tokens you can print out to use with their scenery. They actually have a scenery set that simulates some of the Enterprise, like different areas. Like there's a engineering section, and you can see the war core and things, and then there's Klingon ships and stuff. So there's a lot of backdrop and things, and here you can kind of see some of the boards in this as well. So there's rules, challenge dice. You're basically using a D20. There's some of the older stuff. I haven't got any of these, so I don't know. Maybe on the back is like the old bridge, because that actually looks like the new bridge. That looks like old bridge right there, but I could be wrong. There's a lot of stuff in here, so it isn't just like, hey, let's just make this thing. There's actually kind of some depth to it, but a lot of it is D20, and then there's like some different terrain and things like that too. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to kind of go through it, but again, it's a free download. It's 25 pages, so maybe if you just want to battle these guys against each other or something like that, it might be pretty fun. And there's 10 missions in here too. I think there was 10, or maybe there was 5, 6. There's 6 missions in here, and then some of the tokens that you can print out for like Jeffrey's tubes and different things that you can set up throughout the missions right there. Very similar to some of the old Fantasy Flight Star Wars game as well, which was pretty fun too. So that is a good look at it. So you got your RPG aspect, you've got your collectible aspect, and then of course you can actually battle these guys against each other aspect too, which kind of gives you a lot of reasons, if you're into Star Trek, to pick these models up and actually paint them, and then battle them against each other on the tabletop. So I think that is about all we can say about for these miniatures. They look great. There's a lot of different things to do with them, and of course, well, you could even put them on the tabletop in the far future where there is only war, because the scale is about right, which we definitely like seeing here at the studio. So check them out. It's Modiphius. I think it's Modiphius.com or Modiphius.net. Either way, we'll have the links below in the comments and also in the description for you to click on to check these out. Obviously, their stock's going to be a little different as everybody gets kind of their supply chains back open from the crisis and such. So if you don't see something over there and you're in the States, maybe you might want to check out Miniature Market, because they have a lot of Modiphius items as well. But you might have to go to the UK as well. And of course, if you're already over there in the EU or the UK, well, you can scoop them up probably in a much more timely manner than ordering here in the States. So that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you have some painted pictures of any of these miniatures, please shoot them over to us. It's just support@spikybits.com, and we'll shout you out in the some of the content here that we're going to be putting out for this game in the near future. So make sure you hit that follow button and subscribe so you can be the very first to like and comment on all our videos.